Hello there. Welcome back to grade 11 economics. In this video, we want to look at a past exam paper whereby we are going to look at a question that is relating to economic integration in particular. So, the question that we are going to start with is on economic integration. So, would want to start by understanding what exactly do we mean by economic integration. But we know that economic integration is the unification of economic policies between different states. So when we have unification of economic policies that is taking place between nations, then we call that there is economic integration. So it also involves agreements between countries that usually include the elimination of trade barriers. Usually, it's about the elimination of trade barriers, and also it can be from the point of view of aligning in terms of, for example, the monetary policy and the fiscal policy. So that maybe if it's the monetary policy that they are using between the nations that come to an agreement is the same monetary policy. So this is what we have in terms of economic integration. So the basis of economic integration is on the aspect of unification. The countries unite so that they operate on the same terms. So this is what basically we are saying. The main drive behind them uniting is for them to use the same policies. And we are seeing that we are going to notice that there are benefits that we can deduce from economic integration. For example, we have increased trade between those nations. Remember, we are saying there is an aspect also of removing trade barriers. It means there are no restrictions. So obviously, movement of goods and services between those nations is going to be intensified or increased, and we are going to see an increase in trade. That's a benefit that we can deduce from economic integration. We can also have economic growth taking place. For example, if country A was importing its raw materials or inputs from country B, it means now it's now going to import them at a lower cost without trade barrier. So they are going to expand their production from the basis of low cost of production, and they are now buying those inputs or raw materials at a lower cost. So this is what we have. And then we also see that there's economic growth which is total monetary value of goods that are being produced in that country also improve. And lastly, we also notice improved political relationships that improved political relationships are going to also exist between those nations that are within the economic integration basis. So this is what we have, guys, in terms of the explanation of economic integration. So going to our question, according to this question, we are going to look at the first question, which is saying evaluate the benefits of the South African economy integrating with other countries. So the question has got 8 marks. So obviously, it requires you to raise up at least 4 points on the benefits to the South African economy. So the first point is saying economic integration often leads to a reduction in the cost of trade, which is exactly as we are trying to explain that usually there is a removal of trade barriers. So obviously the cost of trade is going to be reduced. Then you go to the second one, there will be improved availability of goods and services and gains in efficiency that lead to a greater purchasing power. Obviously, availability of goods and services is going to improve. And remember, we've got some goods that are being imported. Obviously, more are going to be imported as the cost is now lower. So this is what we have on the second part. Then we got the third point, employment opportunities tend to improve because trade liberalization leads to market expansion, technology sharing, and cross-border investment. Then I'm going to the next one, political cooperation between countries can also improve because of stronger economic ties which provide an incentive to resolve conflicts peacefully and lead to greater stability. So this is the other point that we have in terms of benefits. Then last benefit that we have is that South Africa will benefit from improved foreign direct investment. And we know that foreign direct investment, from this perspective, we are saying is the opening of businesses in our local economy by foreign nationals. So we will have foreign companies are coming into our local economy and open businesses. We are just with that is just the process of foreign direct investment, which is the FDI. So this is what about the first part. The second part is saying briefly explain the importance of environmental sustainability. And we know that environmental sustainability is responsible use of natural resources to ensure they will be around in the future. So basically, we are utilizing the resources that we have in a most responsible way, so that it's not going to compromise the future. So this is what we have. And we can also try to summarize it as increasing attention to global environment and environmental concerns. So when we have an increasing attention to global environmental concerns, we also explain it as what? As environmental sustainability. So our question is saying just needs to you to explain the importance of environmental sustainability. So on the response part, sustainability is important because one, people have to live within the limits of the environment, which is the first point. The second point, it improves the quality of people's lives, protects the ecosystem, and preserves natural resources for future generations. So this is exactly as we are trying to illustrate that we are trying to be responsible so that we don't compromise the future. So exactly as we are having here. So this is the explanation that we have in terms of the second question that we have. Then lastly, we have got the last question that we have according to this video, which is saying examine the negative impact of hazardous waste. So the hazardous waste that we are mentioning here is relates to waste that must be handled properly to avoid damaging human wealth or the environment. So if we have waste that is basically toxic to the environment around, we call it a hazardous waste. So the question is asking us to examine the negative impact. What are the negative impacts that we can deduce from hazardous waste? Hazardous waste. So the first one is saying pose a threat to human health and environment, which is very true in terms of hazardous waste is a negative impact. So it poses a threat to human health and environment. Remember, we are saying hazardous waste also, we can describe it as toxic elements that we have. So we can take this one as our first point. The second point is spread and contaminate air, water, and land, which is also correct. And then lastly, affect productivity by polluting groundwater resources and endangers plant and animal life. So this becomes our last point on the last question of examining the negative impact of hazardous waste. And remember, our question has got 4 marks, obviously. It requires you to raise at least 2 points. So this is what we have, guys, according to this video. Let's not forget to subscribe and share. More typical examination questions are going to be uploaded on this channel. Let's meet again in the next video. As for this video, I'm signing out.